I am so glad you're here. The last couple of weeks we've been doing a deep dive into podcasting, but there's some breaking news that happened, and this guy broke it. This is the guy who I saw the video come across, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this changes a lot of stuff. So we're going to be talking all about YouTube Shorts today, short form content, strategies, all the fun stuff there. We've got Nick Nimmin, who is my go-to guy when it comes to YouTube. So I'm very stoked that he is able to come on the show with us today. So I want you guys to do me a favor. I want you to sprinkle the love across the interwebs. Let people know about this. If you are on YouTube or you're struggling with YouTube, or maybe you're kind of like me where I don't know a ton about shorts, I've been diving into it, and now this news broke that we'll be talking about. Maybe you know somebody who's like struggling with their YouTube strategy. Well, you want to call them into this conversation, mention them wherever you are watching this. Let them know what we'll be talking about today, because this is going to be a great show. And I want to bring up your questions as much as possible. So as we're going along, I'll be watching the comments. And there is our friend Chris Stone saying, sprinkle, sprinkle. At least it's not tinkle, tinkle, because I know we were talking about getting to that age, Chris, and so you're close. So anyway, sprinkle, sprinkle the love. And Gary Stockton, our friend watching over on YouTube, says, good morning, you lovely people from Huntington Beach. Thank you so much, Gary, for always stopping in, being a great supporter of this show. Connor Brown, how are you doing today?
I just freaking dandy. Boys, yesterday was the first day of fall officially, because pumpkin spice lattes are back.
Oh, that pumpkin is not a spice. Don't get me started.
Come on, guys. Come on.
No, that is not. Give me my coffee.
On the train, the PSL train. It's pulling in the station.
Nope, not a fan. Anyway, we'll get into that.
Let us know when the lattes have come up in the last 2 days. Actually, I'm not even in the States. I'm in Thailand, and people over here are talking about pumpkin spice lattes because we don't get them. Yeah, I have major FOMO here. But I'm heading over there for Vid Summit though in October. So because of that, I will have a pumpkin spice latte.
See, now let us know in the comments below if you are a fan of pumpkin spice latte. I am not. I take my coffee black, and it's just pumpkin to me is not a spice. So anyway, well, let us know. Am I wrong? Let me know. Anyway, let's get started. I'm going to hit go on the podcast machine. Make sure you ask your questions of Nick as we're going along, and this is going to be a fun show. Hello, folks. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Connor Brown, and this is the show that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the world of social media and more.
Have you thought about some of this recent news of YouTube Shorts taking away clickable links? Well, maybe you're wondering about how top creators are navigating this new linkless terrain. Maybe you're just getting started and are going, whew, I'm glad I waited to get into YouTube Shorts, but what do I do now? Well, today's episode is for you. Today, we're excited to introduce a guest who's one of the first people who broke this news and had some strategies to work with it. Nick Nimmin, one of my go-to YouTube experts, has delved deep into the world of linkless YouTube Shorts and has emerged with strategies for creators. Nick will unravel his experiences, his discoveries, and his best practices for thriving in this new era. So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind, and get ready for this week's episode of Social Media News Live. Nick, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeff. Thank you for having me on. I'm super excited to talk about anything YouTube, with you today, especially with this shorts thing, because this is going to impact a lot of content creators that are using shorts to drive business awareness, to do affiliate marketing, or anything related to driving people off of the platform. So this is a really impactful thing. So I'm glad that that it's the subject of conversation today.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, like Chris Stone is an Amazon influencer, Connor Brown as well. We do a lot of stuff on Amazon. So this was a big deal when we heard this news. So I'm excited to talk about it. But I want to let you guys, if you don't know who Nick Nimmin is, well, you're not on YouTube. He is a renowned YouTube influencer and strategist specializing in helping content creators grow their channels and maximize their YouTube presence. Leveraging his personal journey as a successful YouTube content creator, Nick shares practical tips and insights about video creation, audience engagement, and channel growth. His advice ranges from technical aspects like SEO optimization to creative elements like content development and delivery. So he's known really for his accessible and user-friendly tutorials. Nick has become a trusted figure in the YouTube community. He just has a great video a couple weeks ago about AI that you need to check out, because some of that stuff now is just will blow your mind. So you want to go over there, because he continues to inspire and guide content creators on their path to YouTube success. Once again, Nick, I'm so excited. I know it's a time jump for you, or you're in the past. I can never get it straight, but I really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, I appreciate coming on. Yeah, I'm about 11 hours ahead over here on this.
All right, that blows my mind a little bit.
At nighttime anyway, for this reason. So it is all good, fired up and ready to have the conversation.
Awesome. I want to do a big shout out to our sponsors. You can find out more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/eCam. They're what makes going live on Amazon and all the places and the repurposing that I do possible. Our friends over at eCam. You can find out more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/eCam. Make sure you guys go over there and check it out. Right off the bat. So let's jump into this news, because this was a big deal. So, Nick, can you kind of talk about how you see the removal of these clickable links from YouTube Shorts that impacting creators, especially for those like we talked about, the Amazon affiliates who really rely on those external links for their business or affiliate marketing?
Absolutely. So in the past, if you were trying to bring attention to your business or a particular product or service that you were promoting in some capacity, you could make a YouTube short about it. You could drive people down into the description to click on the link. You could send people to a comment, like a pinned comment, underneath the video, to click a link as well. So you had two opportunities there to directly send people into whatever it is that you're trying to get people to interact with. And starting August 31st, which is just a couple of days away now, YouTube is removing the ability for content creators to send any traffic whatsoever off-site. The reason that they said that they're doing this is because spam. So as we all know, when we're interacting with all these different platforms, there's the people that are out there trying to add value, and then there's the people that are out there trying to, abuse this stuff in some capacity and do harmful things with it. And because of that, shorts, because of the lower amount of effort it takes to create a lot of shorts. Like, for example, you can go to, some of the repurposing sites and you can upload an hour-long live stream and you can get, 30 or 40 different shorts out of that. You can also use automation tools to create a bunch of shorts very rapidly. And because of this, spammers are using it to basically flood the platform with, 300 shorts per day, just as one example, that are driving people off site, trying to get their personal information, trying to get bank account stuff, misleading people into thinking that they won things, but all kinds of horrible things like that. So it's left YouTube with the choice of, we can let that happen, or we can scrape all of the links that are driving people off site away from that and force these people to at least make longer form content. Now, look, I'm going to be honest. The approach, I think, is a little bit too much, because in my opinion, it's just as easy to make a video that is a minute and 1 minute long, that is a horizontal video, or even a 30-second horizontal video, compared to shorts. But the difference is, and the big humongous hurdle is, that when it comes to shorts, they just pop up on people, right? You're just in the feed and they just happen to you. Whereas if somebody is going to interact with a piece of long form content, then in that particular case, they have to make the conscious choice to actually click on it, which is going to reduce the, the opportunity those people are going to have, especially since all of that stuff, that side of YouTube with the long form, is all performance based as well. So as soon as people hit those videos, they don't stick around long, then YouTube will quickly demote those videos. So it's good, but I think that they are definitely, taking an abrasive approach to the problem. And because of it, unfortunately, because of bad actors, there's going to be a lot of content creators that are, maybe, they're going to have to either start making long form content and get better at it, or they're going to have to, find other, ways to kind of fill up that bucket, so to speak, of money that is going to be getting stripped away from all the links that they've been driving from YouTube over the last few years.
So before we get to your question, Connor, I want to bring up a comment from our friend Chris Stone. He has a question. He goes, what about shorts that we've already posted with links? Are they going to be affected? Which, that's a big deal, especially, I don't have a ton of them, so it's not, I can go back and manually do it if I need to. But what about these people? And I know, like, Chris is a master at repurposing his shows and his Amazon Lives to shorts. what's he going to do if he has this big back catalog?
They're all gone. Yeah, they're all gone, Chris. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but over the past few years since they've introduced this product, you are going to be one of the victims of this particular situation, and you're going to have to take a different approach.
So are there, just follow up, sorry, Connor,
No,
Connor's looking like, oh dang it. Are there tools that we can use to help? I think you mentioned this in your video. Are there some tools that we can use to help batch process this over to change it to? Okay. Can you give us some of those?
So the problem that you're going to have as a creator, if you have a bunch of links in your descriptions that you're trying to get out, or that you're trying to modify in any way, is that you are going to have to manually open up, every individual short, and then you're going to make that change, and then you're going to have to save it, and then you rinse and repeat that process. There's a tool called TubeBuddy that is a YouTube specific tool. They've got 90 different tools that help content creators with their, workflow and helping them grow their channels and stuff. But with that particular tool, they have a find and replace tool. They call it a bulk update tool, but it's a find and replace tool where essentially you can say, out of all of my videos, look for this link or look for this phrase in this link. And then you can say, replace it with, and the words that you're going to want to use here are going to be, check the link in bio, or the link is in my bio, or the link is on my channel page, or something like that, so that you can use that text to drive them to your channel page. And the reason that you want to take this approach in terms of changing those links out is because when, YouTube is taking those links out of the short shelf, they are adding a set of links to our channel pages. Now, this is only going to work well for people that are promoting just a few things, because the maximum amount of links that they've added to our channel page is 14. So in that particular case, like Jeff, you're an Amazon affiliate. Mm-hmm. So because of that, you probably have a bunch of, different things that you promote. So because of that, it's not going to make a ton of sense to just list all of those on your channel page. So the workaround in that particular case is going to have to be driving them to your bio and then, or your channel page, driving them to your channel page. Once they're on your channel page, then maybe for the people that have the skill sets to do it, building some type of resource site or something like that you would drive people to. And then that's where you would add all of the, links to everything, or start driving them to specific videos that then have those long form videos that then have those links in the descriptions.
So luckily we have, as Amazon influencers, we have a shop page, which we could drive people there, which would have all our content on. So Chris has a follow-up question. Both the links in the descriptions and the comments are gone?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. And I think that the downside of this is, so you mentioned sending people to your, your Amazon store. So if you have those links in your on your channel page, then in that particular case, let's say you have a link to your Amazon store, you have a link to your website, you have a link to some other resources that you have, maybe some other social media accounts, things like that. Well, you just destroyed, and I mean, we'll see how it works out, but in my opinion, I think this is going to negatively impact conversions in a major way, because in the past it's like, hey, here's this thing, and if you want to try it for yourself, all you got to do is go down to the description and then click on that link, and it's isolated, right? So it's like, hey, here's the thing, you can point to it and all that. Now people are going to be tasked that are interested in that thing and actually going and hunting it down. And you know how it is, like, unless somebody's really unless it's really important to them, they're just going to get distracted on YouTube. Or maybe they're going to see one of your videos on your homepage, or maybe they're going to see one of your other links. They're like, oh, they're on Twitter too. I haven't followed them on Twitter yet. Let me go check them out over there. And then bam, they're gone. Right. Yeah. So because of that, I think it's going to, negatively impact conversions overall from doing that. However, with the volume that you can sometimes get on YouTube Shorts, it might end up working out. But, the whole thing, in my opinion, is a bit unfortunate. But another thing that is a positive in terms of what YouTube is doing, and this one is pretty major. And I think that it's going to take viewers a little bit of time to get hip to, this adjustment. But they are also adding something called content links. So what content links are is, if you've ever been on YouTube and YouTube Shorts, and you've been watching a short that has been sampled out from another long form video of that creator, they've remixed it, there's going to be a direct link right there on the page that takes you into the long form content. So YouTube is adding the ability for us to be able to drive people to any videos that we want from any short that we want. So we're going to be able to customize those links and drive people wherever it is that we want. So the downside, of course, is if we send them directly to our bio, then in that particular case, they're going to have to dig through links or go visit a website or something like that in order to find them. But what we're going to be able to do once they deploy this is we're going to be able to say, okay, we're going to create 10 different shorts. Out of those 10 different shorts talking about, different aspects of this product, all of them are going to point to this one long form video, maybe where we have a deeper dive on that product, or maybe we're talking about the advantages of it, and then we're driving people into like a full blown review or something like that. But we're going to be able to point all of those shorts at one long form video, which I think is going to be a much better solution than driving people to your channel page.
That's a great point. One of the things I want to follow up on, just so people who are listening, you mentioned that, I wonder if some of these link in bio things are going to work. I know a lot of TikTokers are using a thing called Cake, which is like you can actually put your individual products on Amazon on there and have like a little store inside of kind of that link in bio thing. And the other thing is Nick mentioned TubeBuddy, and I know he's an affiliate, so I want to give him credit because I think I even got on TubeBuddy from him. But if you go to nicknimin.com, and that's nicknimmin.com, he has his affiliates link there. So if you're interested in TubeBuddy and you've been doing a lot of YouTube shorts, go over to his website, click on TubeBuddy. That way he gets all the credit for that, because it really is a really great tool for managing YouTube. All right, Connor, sorry, I'm done. Go for it.
No, it is all good. I think, this is a big change, and we're going to have to kind of think about how are we going to start promoting stuff within the videos that we're talking about. Nick, in your awesome video about this change, you mentioned how creators are going to start to focus more on those calls to action, like verbally or doing some sort of cue within the videos rather than relying solely on those links in the comments and the descriptions, things like that. Could you elaborate on some of those best practices? You've been doing this for a long time, way before the Shorts product came into the game. So when it comes to calls to action in videos, what are some best practices?
Well, in that particular case, when it comes to shorts, another creative option that people are going to be able to do is if you are somebody that can build websites, and you can look at a website, because not everybody can do this, but if you can build a website and you can look at it and you can say like, okay, is everything easy to understand? Is the things I'm trying to bring attention to, or those prominent, blah blah. Like if you can go through all of that and you can build a website that can list all of the things that you have, then in that particular case, you can just say your website in the short. Yep. So you could say like, hey, find out more about this at, bestcreatortools.com, which is my website, by the way. And then that way that kind of burns that into the video itself, and it keeps the person from needing to go and hunt for the thing that you're bringing attention to. But again, it puts us back into that scenario to where people are going to have to dig around a little bit in order to find what they want. So the next step in that would be go to bestcreatortools.com/toaster. Right, like if they're looking for a toaster, or your name, if it's your personal website, so it's like your name /toaster for that particular product, and then in that particular case, it would make it a little bit easier for people to find. But I think adding those types of calls to action to it will make it a little bit easier, but it also adds to the skills that you're going to need, or the money that you'll need to invest in order to be able to take advantage of something like that.
Gotcha. So Chris, once again, he goes, I agree. He's watching over on LinkedIn. He says, agree with Nick, adds a speed bump. Yeah. And he also had mentioned earlier, like, this is what we get for on rented land, which it's just part of like what we have to deal with. And also he goes, do we know yet if the link is removed altogether, or is it the text remain and just becomes unclickable? Because I know some people like to copy and paste this stuff, but that's even, I think, a bigger speed bump. But what do you know about this?
The text is, you can copy and paste the text. The text will remain there, but the ability for them to click it is going to go away. So for desktop users, it won't be as bad, but for mobile users, trying to copy and paste something on a mobile device is going to be a little bit of a challenge. So because of that, I think it's still going to have a negative, impact. But yeah, they can absolutely copy and paste that link if that was the way that you would prefer to have them do that.
I'm sure you know this, but where are people consuming the most content from YouTube? Is it on a mobile platform? Is that I mean, is that where
Yeah,
people are
mobile
watching this?
devices. That's why I mentioned the mobile thing. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's 80. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it's over 80% of the viewership on YouTube comes from mobile devices. YouTube TV is eating into that right now because YouTube TV is like the fastest growing viewership right now. But mobile devices are where most people are consuming content. So, just as a little side tip for everybody, when it comes to your thumbnails, when it comes to how you're leading people around your channel, hitting video descriptions or hitting your channel pages or going down into pinned comments or leading them into playlists or whatever, just make sure you're always thinking about that experience on a mobile device, even when it comes to how you're structuring your channel page, because it's best practice to make sure that, you have your recent uploads at the top so you can drive people into that. And then from there that you start organizing the content based on the content that's currently driving the channel in terms of the interests that people have that are coming in the most. And as soon as you look at your channel on a mobile device, you're going to see why. Because when you land on a YouTube channel on a mobile device, you have to scroll a bit in order to, start getting into more and more of the content once you get past that, very top playlist. So you definitely want to make sure that you are taking the viewer experience through your own content and channel on a mobile device so you can, make sure that you are optimized for that.
So on that note, and I'm going to geek out about a little bit and go down a little rabbit trail, which I never do on this show. But I just saw a great video from TubeBuddy, actually, and they were actually taking some stuff that Mr. Beast had said on another show and saying that maybe thumbnails aren't as important as much as the autoplay feature. Like when you're going through a mobile device, you see like the 5 seconds of the video, and that's enticing people to click more. And Mr. Beast, if you guys do not know, he is like a huge, I don't know if he's the most watched, but he's the huge on YouTube. But he actually optimized his thumbnail so it fits in with those first 5 seconds, which is, I was like, okay, kind of blown away about that. What are your thoughts about optimizing for YouTube using, because we're talking about mobile devices now, with those first 5 seconds? Like, have you experimented with doing some, on those first autoplay seconds? Does it make a difference or not? I'd love to know your
Absolutely,
thoughts.
it does.
Okay.
So first off, when it comes to thumbnails, in order to get somebody to see that auto preview, they need to stop for a second. So because of that, you still need to make sure that you're grabbing people's attention in your thumbnails. And a quick hack for that, for anybody that's new to, creating content, is the thumbnail. The whole job of the thumbnail is to grab the person's attention that you are trying to reach. So for example, if you are making videos about camera equipment, then in that particular case, it's a really good idea to have some type of camera equipment big and prominent in your thumbnail, because the people that are interested in camera equipment, when they're sitting there scrolling on their mobile device on YouTube's home feed, as soon as they see that, they're going to stop because it's something that they're interested in, right? So because of that, you need to make sure that you are just focusing on the things that will help the people that you're trying to reach identify that your content's something that they might care about. But then when they do stop and then that autoplay starts, if you can make that engaging in some way, it's definitely beneficial. Jeff, you mentioned when we were first getting started about the AI video that I published. So using that idea, I made the first, very beginning of that video to where, if the thumb grabs their attention on, creating the AI backgrounds, as soon as the video starts, I have my backgrounds just changing and changing and changing and changing. So the eye candy for that is like, whoa, what is going on here? And it all like looks good and it doesn't look hokey and all of that. Right. And that video, people, responded, heavily to that. The video that I'm going to be publishing next, which is also an AI related video, I'm doing the same exact thing. And I'm on that particular one, it's like changing yourself and like, all the different AI tools that you can use to, help you with your, YouTube journey. And in that particular video, I've spent 3 days just on the first minute of that particular video. And then like after that first minute, the rest of it, it's going to be just like a normal video. But I've spent 3 days on that first minute just because of the importance of the autoplay that you're talking about.
That's really interesting. Because I don't think a lot of people are talking about that, and so thank you for sharing that. And by the way, you guys who are listening to this as a podcast, Nick does the videos he's talking about. This AI one will blow your mind, so make sure you guys go check that out. And you can find him at youtube.com/@NickNimmin. So that's where you can find him. Just do a search. I'm like, it's the first thing that pops up in Google. He's way up there. So like I said, we're lucky to have him on the show today. But check out his YouTube channel. It's really, really good. The question I have next is, and we'll get into this hopefully a little bit later in the program, but YouTube Shorts and TikTok kind of have this rivalry going together. Do you think this makes the removal of links makes shorts more or less competitive with that short form kind of video market that they're both in?
Well, I think when they're removing a content creator's ability to make money easily, that it's a step in the wrong direction. And it doesn't matter what platform it's on. Like, I think that, as soon as they're stripping those links away, and I understand, it's because of, the malicious nature of what people are doing. But I think that as soon as you start taking away opportunities for people, then it starts, making people not want to do it. Because in that particular case, then it makes you start thinking, okay, well, like in Chris's case, if he is making a bunch of YouTube shorts for the sake of affiliate marketing and it's working for him, then in that particular case, he is motivated. Okay, hey, this is working. I know that if I make X amount of shorts, that typically X amount of them will end up getting X amount of views. And because of that, I can typically depend on, based on the things that I'm talking about, that at least X amount of people will end up clicking on these links. And out of those people that click, at least X amount of people are going to end up, converting into a sale or a lead. And because of that, I know that I need to make X amount of shorts in order to make that happen, right? Mm-hmm. So there's motivation, there's a reason to do it. When it comes to, if you're not a creative, right? If you're not a creative and you're using it for the sake of business or generating income, then in that particular case, it just kind of strips that away. Now, people can still make money from ads, but in order to make money from ads in YouTube Shorts, you have to get an obscene amount of views in order to make the ad revenue worth it. But it is good, for growing your channel. And one of the things, the long-term advantages of YouTube Shorts is that YouTube is building these bridges between short form and long form content. I had a friend of mine, he just started a channel and he sent me a message about it. He's like, hey man, I uploaded my first several videos on it. And I went and I looked at one of his videos and I looked at his channel because I, had to give him some,
right.
Like, hey man, change this, update this,
right.
Put this information here, make sure you're, don't do this at the end of your videos, that whole thing. And, I, spent, I would say maybe 15 minutes on his channel, just on that one video. And then just looking around the channel at what he had set up. As soon as I logged back into YouTube, I saw 3 of his shorts getting recommended to me. And then I saw, his long form videos getting recommended to me as well, even though I didn't interact at all with his YouTube shorts. Mm. So because of that, and it works in the other direction too, because of that, if you're watching a lot of shorts from a particular creator, YouTube is now identifying that. They didn't used to, but now they are. They're making that connection in the viewer histories of the viewers. So because of that, the long game and the long-term advantage of YouTube Shorts is basically just getting in front of a bunch of new people. And if they're enjoying the content and they're engaging with it there, then they are more likely to get shown your long-form content as well. Doesn't mean they're going to click on it, but it just means that YouTube is more likely to actually show it to them.
Got it.
That's awesome. That's huge. And I think, this change aside, we always know there's going to be another change down the road with all of these YouTube, especially. So Nick, with that in mind and pairing it with long form in both aspects of that, what do you see the future of YouTube Shorts as, especially as things are changing constantly? Looking at that crystal ball, what do you see this becoming as part of the platform and in a creator's journey?
I think that shorts are a fantastic place for somebody to get started. I think that shorts are going to continue to thrive on YouTube because, as marketers, we look at it like, hey, they're removing links. What's going on? This is going to impact us. But, as a creator, as a creative, YouTube shorts are still incredible in terms of just getting in front of, people that might not have, otherwise seen you. One thing that, in my opinion, is the best part about YouTube shorts, and they've intentionally designed it this way, is that there isn't a strong barrier to entry. So anybody at any time, while we're making this show, I could hold up my phone, I could record myself just saying what it is that I'm saying right now. And then as soon as this is over, I could post it to YouTube without any microphone, without anything else, just the audio coming raw from the phone. And that video might get, 1,000 views, or it might get, 1 million views, just based on somebody sliding up and then bam, there I am, right? And if they find it interesting or not. Whereas when somebody is getting served the long form content, they have to make a conscious choice to click on it. So that requires skill sets on behalf of the creator. It requires them to be able to write good titles. It requires them to be able to come up with good video ideas. It requires them to be able to make, compelling thumbnails as well that, grab people's attention and, hopefully will get them to, watch it long enough to actually, or to see it long enough to actually click into the video. So there's just a lot more involved when it comes to long form content. And I think that YouTube Shorts is amazing for new content creators, because another big problem is when it comes to long form content, if you've never done this type of thing before, a lot of people will start a long form YouTube channel and they're like, man, I published like 20 videos and I'm getting like, 150 views a video. Like, yeah, it's still 150 people per video, right, but like I thought that it would be way better than this. And the problem is that, you're competing with a bunch of people that know what it is that they're doing, right? And people have to make that choice. And if you're not good at helping people identify the content is something that they care about and then compelling them to click on it, then you're not going to be able to compete until you get those skill sets up. Whereas with YouTube Shorts, you can just make whatever, right? You can be like, hey, I'm walking down my sidewalk and I'm sharing some, business tips, about something that I learned yesterday in some podcast, and I'm just sharing it with other people. And then in that particular case, YouTube is just going to show it to people. It's just going to happen to people. And as long as people just keep enjoying that content, then they'll continue to show it to people. And if they don't, then they'll show it to a nice handful of people, and then they'll, suppress the video in favor of, the content that is keeping people watching and keeping people engaged. So it's a low barrier to entry, and it's motivating because, when you have a long form video and you've published a bunch of them and you're not getting a lot of activity, it'll make you want to quit unless you have that tenacity. But when it comes to short form, you can just keep uploading videos. They're easy to make. And YouTube is going to show them to people. So because of that, it's motivating because you start to see the results. It's like, hey, I am getting some traction here. Some of my shorts got 1,000 views. Some of them got 10,000 views. Some of them got 100 views, but I do have those standout videos. So I think I can do this, right? It's working. So because of that, I think that's the real value in YouTube Shorts. And for even for those, of us that are, experienced at this, like myself and you guys, when people are watching YouTube Shorts, it also gives you the opportunity to capture a different type of viewer, the same type of viewer in a different environment. Because, like if you're sitting down at a computer or you're like trying to learn something, right, or you're settling in for like a long form piece of content, like people listening to the show, for example, then, you kind of reserve that time for it. And you're like, okay, hey, 10 minutes, 15 minutes for a video, or maybe an hour for a podcast or something. And you know what you're getting into, and you kind of reserve that time. But with shorts, people are watching shorts like while they're on a bus, while they're, right, sitting in an Uber. People are watching shorts when they're in the bathroom. They're watching shorts while they're watching TV over here, just because the TV is not keeping them engaged. So they're just sitting there going like this, just looking for something that'll give them some dopamine. So it just gives, people, the content creators, it gives us the opportunity to reach people in a different way.
Yeah. I want to bring up a comment again from my friend Chris Stone. He says, the same thing has happened to Amazon influencers. Bad actors have caused the platform to make major changes that affect everyone negatively. Instead of complaining, we move onward. Yeah, he does a great job of like, we're just going to not gripe and just figure out what works, which Nick does.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these platforms, they're all so massive. Like, you can stand out front with a sign if you want to, and still nobody's right, gonna, nobody's even gonna acknowledge it unless,
right.
Yeah, still. Yeah, so, the only option is to move on and figure out some other solutions.
Exactly. Yeah, or just roll over and die. The question that I have is, does search work with shorts? Because, for example, I have and it's the weirdest thing. I did a shorts. My son did it for me and actually posted it to my my Amazon channel. That it's like a practice golf ball. For some reason, that thing I get a lot of views on it every week. This stupid, and I get clicks over to Amazon from it. Are people searching for that? Is that why it's becoming surfaced? I mean, how does search work in shorts? And is there a strategy behind that, kind of with what you plan?
Absolutely. So when it comes to shorts, they do show up in search results. They also, they will also fall into their general recommendation system. So YouTube is trying really hard right now to pull people into the short shelf and just get viewers, more used to interacting with shorts. So because of that, even on YouTube's homepage, on a computer, you'll still see shorts. On TV, you can watch shorts. But when it comes to search specifically, If you optimize your short for search, as long as people respond to it, when they are looking for that particular term, then in that particular case, it might, end up bringing in a decent amount of traffic. In fact, and you can see this in your analytics. If you go to your traffic sources report for each individual piece of content, you can see exactly where the views are coming from. So you can actually attribute that to search, Jeff. But like the best short on my channel currently, almost all of the traffic from that is from search instead of being from the short shelf.
Gotcha. The other question, as we get into this, is we're going to start moving into like strategies for this. And I've noticed, because I also follow you on TikTok, and I see both of your kind of vertical kind of content you're putting out there. Like you did a tour of your music setup, which I thought was fascinating, but I saw it on TikTok and I did not see it on your short shelf. And I went there to see, okay, I'm like, so why did he post it there and not on his YouTube channel? So can you talk about the short form content, where you should put different aspects of it? Is there a strategy behind, I'm going to share some of this, maybe a little personal stuff over on my TikTok channel versus on my shorts channel, which I talk about YouTube strategies and that kind of stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So when it comes to vertical content, the default, especially for marketers, is, hey, I'm going to make this one vertical piece of content. I'm going to put it everywhere. When you do that, there's no reason for people to follow you in other places, because in that particular case, they can get the same exact thing from you in all of the different platforms.
Right.
So because of that, putting unique stuff in each individual one alongside of some of your repurposed content, it gives people motivation to actually follow you in those places. And it can also be a testing ground for content that you're wanting to publish maybe on your main platforms, but you publish it to test it out on your hobby platform, so to speak. So for me personally, like TikTok is an afterthought. I use TikTok to, just kind of put up some extra stuff there so that some people, will find me over there, and then I can add some value to them for anybody that's, trying to learn about YouTube. But I'm also, just kind of casually, I've got like a music video up there that I made, an AI music video. I've got, some behind the scenes stuff and, things like that isn't necessarily an ideal fit for the value that I want to provide from my main YouTube channel. So, when it comes to, putting content on all the different platforms, I think that if you are using all of this stuff to, grow your brand or to generate income in some capacity, then in that case, be aggressive, go everywhere, use TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, Clapper, YouTube Shorts, like use everything. But in my particular case, YouTube's my jam. I love YouTube. I eat, sleep, and breathe YouTube. And because of that, that's the thing that I focus on. And then, TikTok for me is just kind of a place where I'll test stuff, and then I'll just kind of show people some stuff that might not necessarily have the same, value for the people that are watching my videos on my main channel.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think that's fascinating, because it's cool, because I did go double check. It's like, why? I've always wanted, like, I even got my monitor because of you, Nick. I have that big one you used to do on your live all the time.
Oh, the G9.
Yeah,
I'm
love
looking
it.
at it right now.
Yeah,
you guys are on it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially for live streaming, because I can have all my stuff up. But I didn't see your walkthrough of and I knew you made music, and because I see little hints of it when you would do the live show. And I'm like, oh, and then when you did the studio tour, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to dive in and find out how he actually has it set up, what he's using, using native instruments like what I use. So it was just really cool when you can dive into those places, and I think that's a really cool piece of strategy. Connor, go ahead.
So I think all these things that are updating, always updating. You've seen it. We've seen it. Algorithms, policy changes. It's a lot. And I think it can be really daunting when you're trying to come up with a strategy, not knowing what's going to come down the pike. So Nick, based on your experience, you're so successful and established in running a YouTube channel and a business based around it. How do you advise other creators to adapt their strategies and maybe even their objectives in lieu of all of the things that are constantly changing?
Well, I can't remember who said it, but there's some quote out there where somebody said something along the lines of, the only thing that is constant in life, or the only thing that never changes, is the fact that everything's always changing, right? So because of that, I think that as, entrepreneurs, as content creators, as, business people, even if you are, if you work for somebody, whatever the case, if you're leveraging this stuff in any way, you just have to roll with the punches. And every time they make an update, or every time they make a change, or like this case, where they're, stripping out the links from shorts. In that particular case, you have to make the call. Okay, am I going to abandon this, or, that particular platform or that particular format on the platform? Or am I going to try to come up with, another solution for it, or maybe a longer play? So when it comes to all of this stuff, anybody that I work with, I always recommend that they think long term, because, with all of this, the videos that you're publishing today, people are still going to be watching those videos years down the road. So because of that, when these changes happen, it can impact, some content that you've published previously. But when you go multi-format, then it's kind of like a parachute, because then in that particular case, just like investing, right? So like when you invest, yes, you can just put everything into mutual funds if you want, but you can also, kind of get a little bit risky. Hey, let me try real estate. Hey, let me, throw some money into crypto. Let me, buy some stocks, whatever. And, the whole idea is just to diversify, so that if something isn't working out the way that you had thought or hoped that it was going to work out, then you have these other things that will, support you, so to speak. With this content thing, it's the same. So when you are multi-format, then when those things change, people can still listen to your podcast. People can still hang out in your live stream. People can still watch your long form content, but you can still leverage the short form content to bring awareness to all of those other formats, right? So instead of looking at it in that particular case, like, hey, I'm going to do all of these shorts just for the sake of adding links in the description and trying to get people to go off site, instead start thinking longer. Okay. So it's like, okay, well, how can I make the most? Yes, by, making these shorts and, driving people into these links. But if I could actually build a brand around what it is that I'm doing and get people to know, like, and trust me through all of these different formats of content that I'm putting out, then in that particular case, I might not get as many clicks, but the clicks that I get, because people trust me, they're going to be way more likely to make purchases based on what it is that they're seeing, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm always a fan of just thinking long term, and then also going multi-format for the sake of, having those parachutes in the event that, one of the formats either doesn't work out just because you're not good at it, because we're not all good at everything, or in the case like we're dealing with right now with YouTube, where they end up modifying it in some way to where you either decide not to do it, or you have to, leverage that particular feature in another way.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think that leads perfectly into a follow-up kind of from Chris Stone. Jeff, if you see that comment, ever the opportunist, Chris Stone, instead of looking at this as a bad thing, should we instead look at it as an opportunity, doubling down on our efforts while others might be scaling back on their shorts? What do you think of that, Nick?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion, because, when it comes to things like this, especially as marketers, you guys know how it is. Like, marketers, like, we'll jump from one thing to the other thing to the other thing. And it's like, hey, this is working. As soon as it's like, oh, they stop links, I'm not going to do it anymore. Right. Yeah. So because of that, he makes a very valid point in terms of, your competition, at least in your niche. You might, if you are a marketer, then in that particular case, your competition might have drastically reduced, or it might drastically reduce, once the 31st comes around and people are like, wow, all my traffic just died. What happened? And they start investigating, and then they realize what happened if they're not, keeping up.
So on this point too, because YouTube giveth and taketh away, but let's talk about what it giveth with, like, so it's going to, end of this month, we're going to have it, those things, the links go away in shorts. But one of the things that we kind of glossed over maybe a little bit at the beginning is being able to link to that long form content. And I want to talk about a little bit strategies about that, because once, like, this is a live show. I know Chris does live show podcasts as well. And I'm thinking about an opportunity of, we've been able before to have our shorts, we do like repurposing, like Nick will say something amazing on the show and I'll take a section of that and post it as a short. Well, now we're able to go to that long form content. Do you think that's something that, like, podcasters and live show people should really lean into now, because we are going to have that ability? I mean, it's rolling out next month, right? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that people should experiment with. Like, we don't know exactly how that's, how, people are going to flow through that yet. We don't know how long it's going to take viewers to get used to it and to realize that they can actually click on the links on the screen. Mm-hmm. We don't know, in terms of our effectiveness of driving people to click on those links, right? Like, in terms of, at the end of your short, instead of keeping people looping, which then could end up hurting the impact of that short, do we tell people to, click on the link for every short? Or do we have 5 shorts that we, put out, and those are just for the sake of, getting us in front of people so that YouTube will show them more of our shorts if they enjoy them. And then, 1 out of 5, we try to drive people into that long form, right? But just experimenting with it and trying to, figure out what works best for the people that are, interacting with your content. I think that's something that everybody should be experimenting with, especially when it comes to live streams and podcasts and things like that. In addition to that, if you have a podcast, you should also have another YouTube channel. If your entire YouTube channel isn't the podcast, then you should have another YouTube channel where you're just uploading long form clips anyway. If you're in that mode where you're like, hey, I'm in growth mode right now, I'm trying to do everything I possibly can, start a second YouTube channel, start uploading your clips there on a regular basis as well, so that people can go in there and they can just get bite-sized versions of your content in addition to your main channel pushing shorts, where you can also push shorts on that other channel as well.
Okay, let me dive into this. So we're going live to Social Media News Live right now because that's the channel. Social Media News Live is our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And so I just do the live show over there. I've experimented with doing like short stuff. It just didn't work. But I do the short clips, like short shelf stuff. So you're saying I should create another YouTube channel and have it?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yep. Basically like what I would experiment with is I would spend like 6 months having every show that you do have somebody, either you do it or have somebody else, go through your shows and take out clips, just good segments. So let's say that there's, 5 minutes here, 3 minutes here, 10 minutes here, and just make regular long form videos out of the show. That would be one channel, so that people, you're using that channel to capture people that don't have an hour to spend. Right. That don't have, 2 hours, to hang out in a live stream, or 30 minutes. Those people are the people that are going to click on, 5 and 10 minute and 15 minute content. And then have your main long form on your channel that you're currently on right now. And then with that, the whole thing there is if somebody wants to listen to the long form content, then that would be the place to go and listen to that. And then with shorts, you can deploy that on both. So right now, I actually did this with my live streams to where I started a clips channel and then I stopped uploading to it just because the person that was doing it, they ended up not working with me anymore. And because of that, I just wasn't motivated to do it, but I'm starting to do it again. So in that particular case, I'm taking my long form live stream, which is 3 hours long. I'm having shorts made from that, mainly doing them through Opus, I think is the name of the service for it. Mm-hmm. But I'm taking a lot of those shorts, and some of them are going to be going on my main channel, and then some of them are going to be going over on that channel, so that I'm popping up on feeds of people that maybe haven't ever seen my main channel before, but YouTube is presenting this second channel to them. So basically what I'm doing in that particular case is I'm saying, okay, and I was doing this with the long form content too, and I've got some videos over there that have decent amounts of views on them from this same exact thing. Like, when it comes to YouTube, if you start interacting with the platform, you'll notice that even though you're watching a lot of content in a niche, it might take a really long time for YouTube to show you everybody in that niche. So because of that, when you spread things out in that way, then it gives you the opportunity to where YouTube is identifying the viewers that are interacting with this one, and they're putting you in front of, other people like them from that, main channel. And then you have that secondary channel that is happening in the same exact way, where YouTube is figuring out the people that respond to that. And then they're showing that content to other people like those people. They may interact in similar ways, and they may eventually end up getting recommended your main content, especially if you're driving traffic back and forth. That can kind of amplify that. But the whole idea is that you're giving yourself the opportunity to get in front of possibly more eyes in that particular space.
Wow. My mind is being blown right now because that's why I do this show, folks. It's the free consulting. But I'm also a member of Nick's VIP, so I don't feel too guilty about it.
Too, Jeff.
But I wanted. This is a perfect segue because I'll be able to do this and not have all these lower thirds up because I use Ecamm, and they give me actually. I have isolated video tracks when I'm done with this. So I'm going to be able to repurpose this for this other channel really, really easily because I have all this in separated files. Oh, my mind is blowing. But if your mind is blowing too, go to socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. Check them out because they are amazing. Okay, Connor, sorry.
Hey, and another thing really quick, if you are going to take that approach, one huge mistake, and I just want to mention this really quick because you have an interview show. So when people are repurposing their podcasts and their live streams when they're interviewing people. It's very common for people to optimize around the guest. So for anybody that's listening to this or anybody that's watching this, if you have a podcast or a live stream that you repurpose, instead of optimizing everything around the guest, make sure that you optimize around the topic. Because like when Jeff publishes this content on, as a repurposed form, if he's trying to get somebody to click on it, if he optimizes around it being a conversation with me, then in that particular case, like the qualifier for somebody to be interested in that is they have to be familiar with me. But if he starts talking about, if the whole thing is optimized around YouTube Shorts, then in that particular case, they just need to be a content creator and they just need to be uploading shorts for that content to be of interest to them. So always make sure that unless the person is like serious famous, not like YouTube famous, even YouTube famous, like if it's somebody like Mr. Beast or something, that's fine. But unless it's somebody that's really famous, then in that particular case, make sure that you're always optimizing around the topic so you can reach a broader amount of people.
That's
Love
a great
that.
tip.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I think so. This might be a clarification and it might not, but podcasts on YouTube. I know you're talking about long form for live streams and things like that. If you already have a YouTube channel and you're posting videos to it and it's quote unquote long form, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, whatever it is. And now you decided, I also want to add my podcast. I go in, I label it as such as podcast. The separate channel is just for clips, but would you still have the podcasts on your quote unquote home channel and you have those other pieces of content that you're posting to that channel as well? Or how does the strategy work for that?
If the brand is the same and both are long form, then yes. Then that way that channel becomes the resource for that long form content. Now, one huge advantage that you have right now, and this is a feature that not everybody knows about, so I just want to mention it really quick. So not too long ago, I would say maybe 4 months ago, my timeline's all screwed up. So maybe 4 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, YouTube introduced podcasts on YouTube to where all you have to do, and you can do this with your live streams, that's what I do. But all you have to do is you just add your live show or your podcast to a specific playlist, and then you mark it as a podcast on YouTube. And then it can also show up, even if it's a live stream like this right now, it can also show up over in YouTube Music when people are looking for similar content over there. And then eventually they're going to also roll out RSS feeds and all of that to where people are, it's a whole other area for you to be discovered on the platform. So just make sure that if you are putting both long forms on that main channel, that you have them set up as different podcasts, so that it goes out to YouTube Music that way, and so that people can also like subscribe to each one on YouTube Music. So if they love your interview show, but they don't like, let's say if you were doing like tips or something into their podcast or just having conversations around the subject matter, then in that particular case, they would know to look for that particular show if they were into that particular type of content.
Got it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's great. So we actually do that with this show, and I also do it because I produce Guy Kawasaki's podcast, and we also upload it there as well with that. One of the things that you mentioned in your video about the breaking news with shorts links going away is that as of now, being able to take that short and point it to a long form content, you're not able to do that to a playlist, is what they were saying. So that I'm hoping they do that because it'd be really great for us podcasters to be able to do a short and point it to that podcast long form content. So maybe that will roll out in the future.
Yeah, at the time of that announcement, they said that they weren't going to link, they weren't going to allow links directly to playlists. But based on some of the feedback that they've gotten, they've mentioned that they were, or at least people that I know that work there, mentioned that they are considering it, just based on the feedback that they got, because a lot of people are like, same exact thing, like, why wouldn't you, if you're trying to get more watch time right on the platform, or as a platform, why wouldn't you link in the playlist? So yeah, fingers crossed that they do that, because that'll really be incredible, being able to drive people into entire series of content with the root of that being a YouTube short. Because then in that particular case, because, just for clarity here for anybody that's listening to this, like, what YouTube is ultimately going for is how much watch time they can generate per impression for every surface of the platform, every page of the platform. So because of that, if we can start driving people into playlists from YouTube Shorts, then what can end up happening, as long as it's designed like the long form content, then if you can basically attribute people going from that particular short, just like we can with the long form, into that playlist or into a longer piece of content or into multiple pieces of content, then that originating video is generating tons of watch time per impression in the session that somebody is having on YouTube. And because of that, those originating videos where you can drive people into more videos, they end up getting more traffic because they can expect more watch time per impression because you're sending people through the chain. If they can do that to YouTube Shorts, and as long as it's designed in the same way, which we'll find out if they add that, then in that particular case, that would be also a great way to where if you can perfectly align the topic and what it is that you are, talking about or sharing or showing in a YouTube short to a playlist of other relevant content that viewer also enjoys, that could also help the short blow up as long as it works the same.
That's awesome. Fingers crossed that works. The last, really quick, I just want to mention this because we're talking about a lot of this news. There's some potential TikTok changes, and I'll just let Nick mention this just a little bit. But they're actually, and this is from TechRunch, they're talking about, now this isn't confirmed, reportedly banning links outside to e-commerce sites like Amazon. So they want to keep it in the walled garden. They want to have people go to their TikTok shop, which rolled out a couple months ago, I think. I want to know, Nick, how do you think that, we talked about, making it harder for people to make a buck. How do you think this is going to impact creators who promote products from, these platforms like they do on YouTube?
I think if people need attributable links for tools that are not available in the TikTok shop, then in that particular case, it's going to cause a lot of people to leave the platform. I think if TikTok is crediting them in some way, kind of like YouTube Shopping does as an affiliate, and they can keep people in the platform, and then they drive people out through the TikTok links. As long as it's profitable, people will still do it. As a content creator, one of the hardest things for people to do is just make money from it.
Right.
So because of that, especially people that are just relying on ads or just on platform monetization. So because of that, I think that if they are still making it possible for creators to make money, then people will stick around. But if they, do make it to where like affiliate marketers and, people like that are using the platform, those people will go away and they'll use other platforms for it. But, at the core, just like YouTube, just like all these platforms, it starts with creatives and it starts with, people just making cool content and expressing themselves in some way. So people are going to continue to do that. And, there's a lot of people that just want to get famous or whatever.
Right,
so
right.
people will do it for those reasons. But for people that are trying to generate income, if they're relying on those links, then I think people will, those particular people will abandon the platform for something else, or they'll find a workaround,
right,
by driving people to their bio or, something like that, which is something that, people already do. And I'm not sure with that, because you're the one that actually shared that with me. And I'm not sure if they're banning just places like Amazon or if they're also banning like personal websites. Like, would I be able to link to my personal website as an example? If so, then that would be the solution to, that particular problem.
I think that you still can, like when you have so many followers, but like they're even sunsetting their Shopify storefronts, which a lot of people were driving it to their Shopify. So it's just really interesting. Once again, back up all your content to whatever you're creating, because you can hopefully put it somewhere else if this stuff happens. Always back it up. But Nick, you are the guy I go to for all this. I really appreciate you giving your insights today. And I mean, seriously, I've got to go back and make notes, make changes, start a new YouTube channel, all this stuff I've got to do now. But I appreciate your time. Tell people where they can find out, what you've got coming up, what you're working on, where they can find you. You mentioned your website that has a bunch of tools on that. Make sure you give that as well. The floor is yours.
Yeah, if you go to Nimmin.bio, then that basically takes you to my link tree where you'll find, everything there. But bestcreatortools.com is where I list resources. I'm actually, next week, I'm going to be adding a bunch of AI, stuff to that as well, because there's so much cool AI stuff coming out for content creators. So you'll definitely want to make sure that you're checking that out. And really between, those two things, you'll end up finding everything else that, that I bring attention to.
Awesome. And you're going to be at VidSummit in October, correct?
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm speaking there. But, for everybody that is hanging out here, VidSummit is happening. It's a conference for content creators, and it is the conference for content creators. If you're somebody that is interested in the creator economy in any capacity and you're making content, VidSummit is a peer event for content creators. So you have a lot of other, platforms that are a lot of other conferences that are more fan-based. But when it comes to video content, in that particular case, like VidSummit is the one that you want to go to. And it's really cool, even if you're just getting started, because it's basically a place where successful content creators and people that are either in front of the camera or behind the camera, working behind the scenes with successful creators, they go there to share. We go there to share what it is that we know about this space with other people that are getting started, and to help each other out. Because, it doesn't matter how far, you get down this road, there's always more stuff to learn. There's always so much stuff that is changing, and always stuff that you got to stay up to date on. And VidSummit is kind of like VidSummit is the place where you go to, just be informed and learn about all of this stuff.
Yeah, and you could go to Nick's website to check all that out and get your tickets if you need to. It's in Dallas.
VidSummit.com. VidSummit.com is where you'd go for that. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's in Dallas, this is my neck of the woods, so I'm going to see if I can make it over there. So, Connor Brown, the unsinkable Connor Brown, where can people find out more about you?
You can find out more about me at wdwopinion.com and across all socials at wdwopinion. Reach out if you need help planning your next Disney or Universal vacation. What a show. What a show.
Yes, thank you guys for showing up today. Thanks, Chris and Gary and everybody who left comments. Scott Ayers stopped by. All you folks. Tatiana Teaches stopped by as well. Thank you, guys, so much. Wouldn't be able to do this show without you. Thank you for Nick for showing up today. Thank you for our sponsor, Ecamm. You can find out more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.